Um, I was thinking about this week as we were talking about this morning, the idea of coming to the Lord's feast that He's holding. And something that I ran across made me think about this idea of at His feet. And I had remembered hearing many years ago about there's not a lot of occurrences, but there are several that mention specifically people being at the feet of Jesus. And it got me thinking, if we were in the presence of the Lord today, what would be your reaction? And I think for most of us, it would be this idea that we would fall down at His feet. But why is that? Why would we do that? And so what I did is I took the list, and I think this is right. There's about 10 occurrences in the New Testament that I could find that specifically mention someone or groups of people being specifically at the feet of Jesus. And here's the first 7 of those. One that was read, Matthew 15, is when you had a multitude of people who were suffering from all kinds of physical illnesses and sickness. And they fell down at the foot of Jesus because they knew that they could be healed. That you have in Mark chapter 5, 21 through 23, a man whose daughter is dying. And he falls down at the feet of Jesus. In Mark chapter 7, you have a woman that's not even a Jewish woman. And she comes to Jesus because her daughter is possessed and she wants Jesus to heal and to comfort. And even when the disciples try to turn her away, Jesus still, in interacting with her, points out, as this woman said, that she's willing to have the crumbs that fall from the table because that's what the dogs would have. That you have in Luke chapter 7, verses 37 and 38, and this is an image that we've talked about many times, a woman who knows she's a sinful woman and other people know she's a sinful woman, but she finds out that Jesus is at this dinner, and so she goes and falls at His feet and washes His feet with her tears and dries it with the hair of her head. And Jesus tells her that because she had loved much, it was because she had had so much forgiven. That you have this demon-possessed man in Luke 8 that people are afraid to even go near. And yet when he's healed and that demon is possessed, who has legion, these multitude of demons, we find him falling at the feet of Jesus. And later on, he preaches to that whole region. And so when Jesus makes another circuit and comes through that area, there are multitudes of people that greet the Lord. And evidently because not just of the miracle, but what this man had said about that very thing. That in Luke chapter 17, you have a leper who returns and falls at the feet of Jesus, praising Him and giving Him thankfulness for being healed of that leprosy. Matthew 28 in Revelation talks about worshipers falling at the feet of Jesus. And many times when we see the word falling at the feet, it does have that idea of worship attached to it. So again, if we were thinking about why would we fall at the feet of Jesus, why would that be? And that's a lot of really good reasons that's there. But these are separate individuals. There are 3 instances of these 10 that are attributed just to one single person, and that's Mary, the sister of Lazarus, and Martha. And so in Luke chapter 10, and these are the few verses I want us to look at, Luke chapter 10, verses 38 through 42, this is the first occurrence that we have recorded of it. Luke 10, verses 38 through 42, you remember that Jesus goes to their house, that He entered the village, and He goes to the house of a certain woman named Martha, and she welcomed Him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary who also sat at Jesus' feet to hear His word. Martha was distracted with much serving, and she approached Him and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Therefore tell her to help me. And Jesus answered and said, Martha, Martha, you are worried and troubled about many things, but one thing is needed, and Mary has chosen that good part which will not be taken away from her. And so when we think about why is it that we would fall at the feet of Jesus, what is the benefit of this coming before Him, humbling ourselves, and what would overwhelm us so much that we would fall at His feet? Martha honored Jesus as being a guest in her home, but Mary honored Him as being the Lord of her life. And there's a very big difference between those two things. That when Mary had this very special, it seems, relationship with Jesus, and that she understood very intimately who He was. And here in seeking the truth, sitting at His feet, she was listening to those things that no one could take away. Serving is here today and gone tomorrow, but the things Jesus taught would last. Later on, when you go to John chapter 11, That you have Mary, who is one that comes to the feet of Jesus, and she falls there, and the reason being is because her brother Lazarus has died. And she knows that Jesus is able, and if he had been there, that he would have been able to do something about that. And so she comes to him because she is seeking comfort. And then lastly, a third example of that is in John 12 and verse 3. And there you see that this falling at the feet of Jesus is not just so that we can receive something from him, but because of the things that we've received from him, we can actually offer our Lord something. In John 12 and verse 3, it talks about Mary falling at his feet and washing them and putting the oil on his feet. And Jesus makes it known that she is doing this for my burial. She's doing this because she's concerned about me. And so when we think about this idea of falling at Jesus' feet, it's not just the idea that just being overwhelmed by someone who is so powerful and mighty and awesome. But if we are people who are sick, if we are people who have someone in our family that is in dire straits, if we ourselves have been delivered from something, if we're looking for the truth, if we're the ones who are wanting to help the Lord and to be there for him when he needs us to do the things that he's given us to do, that's where the blessings are found. And so that list that's there, and you have it, that was sent out to you in email this week, I think it would be a really good study if you wanted to go through and just go through each one of those accounts and see the characteristics of those people that fell at the feet of Jesus and be able to identify with the blessings they received as a result of that. And so tonight, if you are in one of these categories, if you do want to fall at the feet of Jesus, that is the question I'm going to leave with you. If you feel like you're sick and hurting, that you need comfort, that there's others that need help and you want to be able to be there for them, if you've fallen out of service and want to come back, whatever that need may be, please let us help as together we stand and sing.